Hi everyone, welcome to another My Life in Objects. So as you can see from the title of this video, this is about pondering, and I suppose more specifically I'm going to go through this book a little bit, the order of things, as part of that discussion, but it's just really a reflection on my own relationship with pondering over the years. And I was trying to sort of relate it back to I suppose almost like a ritual, or a tradition that I sort of started to do, I suppose since I've been in Nova Scotia, so since 2010. But the interest, I suppose, predates that. So I've always had an interest in philosophy for as long as I can remember, but I do enjoy just almost like a sort of free form, freestyle version of that, if you like, like just pondering various things. And one of the things that I found used to really help with me finding subjects to sort of ponder about beyond the obvious thing, which I used to do, which is used to do a lot more, I suppose, which was meeting up with a friend, and particularly on a Sunday afternoon. We'd often jokingly refer to it as Sunday school, and we would just sort of reflect on all manner of things, in the same way that one might pick up an object and look at it from lots of different directions, and get a sort of almost like an overview without overly dissecting it. And as part of that, I suppose, process, that journey, or I was trying to think back to what really stimulated my interest in philosophy and pondering over writers on frameworks and various other things. And it was definitely very much fueled by this imprint, whatever you want to call it, this range of books. So me and a friend used to jokingly refer to, in bookshops, the wall of Rutledge. So often when you go into a bookshop in the UK, and I haven't experienced anything really that similar since I've been in Canada. I'm just trying to think whether I've ever been into a bookshop where you just have that, have it sort of laid out with all the Rutledge books. A great example of it is, and maybe I'll see if I can find the photo and modify the thumbnail slightly. But I took this photograph once of this big bookshop in Oxford when we were over there on a trip, and they did literally have a wall of Rutledge where they had this bookshelf which had all these sort of Rutledge books collected. And I like the sort of old style one. They've slightly changed the way they look now. I think, yes, they have. In much the same way, I think that the other one that I used to really enjoy just seeing a wall of them was the O'Reilly technical books. Similar sort of concept. And at home I sort of have my own mini wall of both of those, where I've collected together Rutledge books and I've collected together O'Reilly books that I have. I tend to gravitate towards these. I'm going to get on specifically to this book in a moment. But yeah, what I found just really helpful with these is they were nice to sit down for an extended period of time and just flick through and maybe read cover to cover, or just ponder on certain things. And I was trying to think what the first one of these I ever bought. It was probably something like History of Western Philosophy, the big Bertrand Russell one. I think was an early acquisition. This I bought fairly early on. But I was talking about a sort of tradition as well with this. So after my original exposure to this, where I think I must have bought History of Western Civilization and something like Being and Nothingness, something like that. It then became a bit of a thing for when I was visiting the UK. There's a gallery there's actually two galleries in Hyde Park, and at least one of them has a bookshop in it. And in amongst, the various art books, they tend to have a lot of books on culture. And at one point, one of the galleries there had quite a large bookshop. And so it became a bit of a thing, because we used to stay for a short period of time when we were over in the UK in the we always like to stay in the Paddington Basin area. It's a nice walk from there around Hyde Park and then back. And I'd always make a point on the trip of popping in there and buying a Rutledge book. And I made this point of trying to buy like one a year on just a variety of different subjects, or at least one a year. So that might be on that trip. Sometimes I wouldn't always see exactly what I was after, so I'd wait and then order it separately, or maybe go somewhere else and then get one. And over the years, this one predates 2010, thinking about it. The Psychology of Intelligence by Piaget. And this was one that I did buy, I believe, on a trip. And this is the order of things, and why this is sort of relevant to the discussion is it is a book about the this idea of order in terms of the order of, I suppose, knowledge. How we organise, how we think about the way in which, I suppose, knowledge exists in the world. So you can see down here, in the order of things, Foucault investigates the modern forms of knowledge or epistemes that establish for the sciences their unsurpassable horizons of basic concepts. So it sort of goes through and, we'll talk about, if we go on to the various chapter headings, sections in here, prose of the world, some great titles to sections here. It's a nice way of thinking about it, isn't it? The prose of the world, representing, speaking, classifying. What else have we got? Exchanging. The limits of representation, which is always fascinating to think about. Like how much of what is out there in the world and represented is what are my limits of representation, either self-imposed or otherwise. Labour, life and language, and then man and his doubles. What else have we got? The human sciences. So plenty in here to ponder about. And as I've said, also interesting because the book itself provides one possible lens in which to think, through which to think about knowledge. I mean, there's lots of ways of thinking about thinking about knowledge, and this is one way that you can think about it, the way in which things are ordered, and how that order might be represented in the world, and also how I suppose that order might be filtered in different ways. And it's nice here. You can see it's not that well read. It's one that I've sort of dipped into at various points, and I really need to sit down and do like an end-to-end reading of, sort of fully. I think it's a good one for, I think, a long winter evening. But I think such is the nature of pondering, that it does lend itself more to a sort of dipping in, where you might sort of flick through a book and something falls on your eyes, and you think, oh, that's an interesting, idea to explore. Sometimes you might agree with it, sometimes you might not necessarily. Sometimes after exploring it and pondering it, you might come out with a slightly different idea about things, or maybe you don't. I just love the way these books fit. Something about the way these particular books feel in the hand as well. The layouts are always, very consistent in terms of the typeface and various other things, and the way that they are sort of laid out. And these wonderful covers as well. And what I always used to like about these is you get to the back. I don't know if there's one in this one. It might not be, because it's a bit more of a technical book. But you'd get to the back, and this is something that I don't know how much we see this in books nowadays, but I always sort of miss, where it had other suggestions for things you might like reading in a similar domain that were part of the imprint. I don't know if this has one in the back, actually. I think it's interesting how some of these are seemingly devoid of such things. Yeah, that one doesn't. Yeah, not that. So there we have it. Hopefully that's given you lots of things to ponder about. Thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I'll catch you in a future episode.